Okay, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. This is our seventh installment of the England Handball Coach webinar series. Today, we are joined by Danilo Gagliardi. You guys are in for a real treat today on Danilo's presentation of the 5-1 defensive system based on the Spanish style. I'm going to let Danilo introduce himself properly shortly, but I needed to share something with you guys because I had the pleasure of playing with Danilo in Denmark a long time ago now, 12 years ago maybe, and the guy is a full-on handball geek. He had his notepad everywhere we went, taking notes of all the trainings and the matches and everything. He's really immersed himself in learning the game, so he has acquired so much knowledge, and I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy the presentation. You should have received an email from me which has a version of the presentation he's going to present in it. It's got some videos in the presentation that might not come across so clearly on Zoom. So if you want to open it up on another platform to watch alongside and listen to Danilo as he's describing, please go ahead. But Danilo's going to share his screen and present over Zoom now. So Danilo, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Bob, for the presentation. First of all, I want to say thank you very much to Ricardo and Bob for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to me to talk about 5-1 here. I think this type of initiative that you are making now in this COVID-19 times that you are living is really important, and I think everybody is really thankful for that. So it's a huge project. I'm really honored to be part of this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Thinking about my career, I'll introduce quickly myself. My name is Danilo Gagliardi, like Bob said. In a club basis, I work in a few clubs in Brazil, have the opportunity to work in Skolbakken in Denmark and in Nice in Faroe Islands, thinking about Europe. And now I'm living in Angola, working at Primeiro de Agosto club when we have the chance last year to win the Super Club, and it was a really nice experience in Primeiro de Agosto. In national level basis, I work in Brazil in junior and juvenile national teams. I was in 2014 World Championship and 2016. And in Angola now, in 2018, I was in a U18 World Championship working as a U18 coach. And I'm assistant coach of Morten Salbach in the seniors team when we went through the World Championship now in December in Japan. Basically is that. So I will start to share my screen to you guys. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, super. So I will start with this Bill Russell phrase that I think represent a bit what I believe this defensive system affect the one who are trying to play against. So the idea is not to block every shot. The idea is to make your opponent believe that you might block every shot. So the psychology aspect and impact that you have on this defense create this kind of feeling in the majority of players that you're going to play against. So before we start to make this 5-1 defense analysis, I think it's really important to clarify a few things. The first thing is that this 5-1 that I'm going to present to you guys is a defense, a 5-1 connected to Jorge Ribeiro constants. And why I'm saying that? Because if we're thinking about all the creative schools of defense and handball in the world, and then you can say about Spain, France, Portugal, Croatia, Brazil, the Asian teams like Korea or Japan, you can play 5-1, 3-3, 3-1, whatever system you believe, but in different ways. And I don't think that is a right or wrong. It's just different ways, depends what type of idea the coach you have, what type the players you have, and what type of adjustments you want to say. And especially in Spain, there's so many different ways to play 5-1 that I can say that's not from Spain. This is the Jordi Ribera concepts, Jordi Ribera ideas that he developed in the years. And of course, the first idea of this system comes from Ciudad Real. It was a club in Spain, and then Jordi developed in his adjustment and make a lot of adjustments of this system. I can see that we have a lot of coaches here, what is really, really nice. And I'm pretty sure a lot of intelligent coaches, and you're gonna see 300s of vulnerabilities on this system. And I will not deny it and say that we don't have it. That's a lot. And you're gonna figure out plenty of them. But I will start the debate with 3 questions for you guys. The first one, can we easily find them? The second one, is it easy to train these vulnerabilities, to create these scenarios inside of training? And can the players process well your coach information inside of match, inside of emotional, intensive situation in a game? I believe that, I'm not pretty sure, but I believe the answer is no. And basic, because there's so few teams that play this kind of system in the world that you don't get used. So it's really hard to create scenarios of training that will simulate the best way to play against the system. So I think it's really hard to play against this 5-1. And then we go to this timeline here, and I will talk a little bit about a few practical examples in high level that happens really well with these 5-1 ideas. First, of course, I need to go to the 2016 Olympic Games, and especially talking about Brazilian national team. And I know that is for sure the best Brazilian generation of all times. You have Thiago Petrus playing in Barcelona. We're gonna have now Raniel Langaro, a lot of good players. But I'm pretty sure in the same hand that just us, and I'm pretty sure that in Brazil, believe that was possible to win against Germany and Poland like we did in the Olympic Games. Just us in the entire world. And when we did that, the mainly checkmate, there's a lot of things, but I think the mainly checkmate that Jordi did was the 5-1. So this is a really important practical example. When we go to 2018 in Euro, I think everybody watched it. We come to the final, Spain and Sweden, fantastic Swedish team, playing a lot of well, really, really tight game, was really, really close. In the end of the first half, Jordi started a bit with the 5-1, but in the second half, he started totally playing 5-1. The match was really, really close, and then turns immediately. And we could see the frustration on the face of the players of Sweden. They couldn't do a lot of things. They couldn't do nothing. And I don't speak Swedish, but when comes the timeout from the coach of Sweden, I realized that he was trying to find solution or maybe finding, but the players couldn't process and they couldn't do anything. When it comes, and then I will talk about a practical thing that happens with me and Martin. We were in the final of the African tournament here, playing against Senegal in the final. Senegal was playing a really good tournament. Senegal, all the players playing in the French first league. So there's just French players, actually. So there's a really good team with a really good coach. Freddy Bugan was in Rostov a few years ago. And they started really well against us. They were winning 9-1 in 15 minutes. So 8 goals of difference. We took it two timeouts in 15 minutes. And discussing me and Martin, he decided to say that that's the only way that we can turn around this match. And we go to the 5-1. And we spend 40 minutes without conceding a goal and turn completely the match. So we won in a really difficult situation. And when we talk to Brazil in 2019 World Championship, there's a lot of games that Brazil won and using a lot of times the 5-1. And so Brazil have a really good participation. We could win against Russia, Serbia, Croatia, Iceland. So, and the 5-1 have an impact on these matches too. and even in Spain now, we can see that when he uses the 5-1 as a second defense, as the same as Brazil in 2019, was really important. So we're going to start with the defensive objectives. And then we need to talk about principles here. That is really important to understand the idea and the base of the defense. This is mainly an active defense. The opposite of a reactive defense is an active defense connected to anticipatory ideas. So this is really, really important to say that. So the mainly goal of this defense is recover the ball. That's what we wanted to do it. That's what our mainly goal. We want to recover the ball, and that's what we're gonna try. And how we're gonna do it? We're gonna do it specific on the system in two ways. The first, we're gonna put and keep the attackers far away from the goal. So this is really important. The other crucial thing is that we're gonna pressure the players who are trying to receive the ball. So we pressure the ones who don't have the ball and give a little freedom to the guy who have the ball. Of course, that if you pressure the players who don't have the ball, you're gonna create a decision-making problem with the guy who have the ball. Then you're gonna produce a quickly attack, avoid a goal, and make a fast break connection. And then it comes again to the principles. When you're talking about active, anticipatory defense, you always have to make a connection with the fast breaks. So this is really important to understand the structure and the idea of the system. Here we have a basic 5-1 structure, a diagram, and then we can see here the back with the ball. We can see the point player really, really forward, pressuring the playmaker. The second defender really forward to the 2 against 2 created here. And you can see that this second defender, he stay a little bit up, not on the line. And the pressure from the winger, the first defender in the winger in the side of the ball. Now, you can see the mainly object of the defense is a defense to recover the ball. And that's we are trying to do, produce quickly attacks and recover the ball. And then another really crucial thing and important is say that we're gonna induce this player to make a mistake, a decision-making mistake. And more crucial than that, we need to say that to recover the ball, to steal this ball, you need to offer this guy a passing possibility. So you're not going to interrupt with the foul. We're going to offer him a pass possibility, and then we're going to recover the ball. So he needs to pass. We need to let them pass, and then we're going to recover, intercept, and steal the ball. I hope that the videos can run. So Bob and Ricardo, please help me with that if it's not running. Now we're going to see a video of us playing against Serbia in the World Championship now in December with this basic idea of this 5-1 and this line. How was the video?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Okay. So that's the basic idea of the 5-1. And to try to be a little more pedagogic to you guys, I decided to make a presentation sharing and dividing for positions. So we're gonna discuss every position of defense, and I will try to show you some videos connected to these positions. So the first position that we're gonna talk about is the point player. And I always heard from Jordi that if you don't have a really good point player and a really good base, a really good third defender, it's impossible to play this system. So if you want to try to apply this system, you need to find these two good defenders, these two positions. Of course, it's really important to have a good reach. So the reach advantage from the point player is really important. He needs to be a really good and in 1-against-1, a great 1-against-1 defender. Speed and good moving capacity. And he needs to be an excellent individual in individual tactics. And when I talk to individual tactics thing, we're gonna explain that he needs to have a lot of skills in terms of dissuasion and interceptation. That's huge important. And another thing, he needs to figure out some, how can I say it, some triggers, pressures that he needs to realize these leads of triggers pressure, and then he needs to pressure. So we can say that some of these triggers pressure is like when someone bounce the ball or someone go outside line, he will pressure. So this is the ability to figure out these triggers pressure, these leads are really important, connected to the anticipatory situations like dissuasion or interceptations. Of course, he needs to have the skills to adapt in terms of the different tactical situations that the other team will propose and try to do against us when we play. So he needs to be an intelligent player. That's huge important too. It's just not about just the reach advantage or great 1-against-1. Now we're gonna talk about point player tasks. His mainly task is defend the playmaker and help the second defenders. So this is really, really important. The other thing you could see on the first diagram that the point player is really forward, and who have already watched games of this defense will realize that. So we tried, the first idea is try to disturb this playmaker creation. So when you put him really far away from the goal, you work with the idea to break the space and then you disturb his creation. But in the other hand, as the point player is really forward, you can see a big gap between the point player and the block of the defense. It's natural. And every player will like to play on this position. So every back will bounce the ball or will attack this position because there's a huge space. But when this happens, this point player, he cannot allow this. So he cannot allow any plays or any games in his behind zone. So he needs to go backwards. So it's really important that if someone attack on that space, he will go backwards. And another thing is the way he goes backwards. He should go backwards, but like an arrow. So he's gonna go straight like an arrow to help the third defender and avoid this game on his behind zone. And why he have to go like an arrow? In a different situation of the most of the systems that we work with the point player in a triangle, in a diagonal situation, this one you work like an arrow because we believe that if he goes backwards like an arrow, he will be more able to defend the passing lines if the playmaker tries to receive the ball behind him. And especially when the playmaker receives this ball, you're going to be in front of him to defend and stop the game. Like I said before, adapt his activity connected to the attack action. Now you can see the point player going like an arrow and helping and trying to disturb the situation. So one more time to be clear, he will go like an arrow, help the third defender, because this help from the third defender comes from the point player. So this is really, really important. Like I said before, he has to adapt. And one situation he has to adapt in the crosses situation. So they change opponent. The point player and the second defender will change the opponent when it comes from a cross and adapt his situation. Now I have some videos about the point player. So please give me a feedback if how it is the video, Bob. Okay, and Ricardo. It's us playing against Senegal in the final of the African tournament, like I said. So we can see the point player going like an arrow and disturbing the creation from the back. Now is the Olympic Games, Brazil and Slovenia, and you're gonna see the different adaptations that the point player will do. So he's gonna change opponent a lot of times in the cross situation. I have another video of the African tournament here. On this video, the point player will help defend the passing lines, change opponent. He'll do everything that we said before. And in this last video about the point player, we're playing against Romania in a Carpacci tournament that we won. And there's a really nice situation about the point player that she goes backwards like an arrow, we recover the ball and could score. Hope you can see well. It's working well, the videos?
Yeah, it's fine, mate.
Okay. After the point player, we go to the first defender and start again with the attributes. So he needs to be medium height, don't need to be a really tall person. Aggressive, really important. Of course, you have to do a lot of 2-against-1 situations, especially if the point player is someone passed from the point player, the second defender. So you need to have anticipation capacity and extremely quickly to execute fast breaks. And then we come again to the principles. The mainly principle of this defense is to recover the ball, connect to this anticipatory concept. So we always have to connect this to a fast break solution. When you talk about the tasks, he needs to control 1-against-1 from his direct opponent. And his mainly thing was this. He will pressure the winger, avoiding him to receive the ball. So when the back have the ball, and he will try to pass this winger, this closest winger, we're gonna pressure. The first defender will pressure the winger to create this decision-making problems to this back. Of course, that the first defender in the opposite side, he will not pressure anyone, but just the winger who is connected to the ball side. Need to do dissuasion interceptation a lot. So here comes the slide to show you how he pressed the winger. So we can see here that this back, he wants to try to play the winger, but we're gonna pressure, the first defender will pressure. And then we're gonna create a difficult situation to his back. Because if you realize here, the point player is really forward and pressuring the playmaker. And this second defender, he will keep his initial position. He will be high. So what's going to happen? This back will bounce the ball and we will attack. And that's what we wanted. So doing this pressure, we turn inaccessible his back in passing points. So he will have a lot of problems. So if we pass the playmaker, we have the chance to intercept it. If we pass the back-to-back, we're going to be there. So he's going to bounce and we'll make the decision. And we believe that he's going to make a wrong decision in the mainly things. Now we talked about interceptation dissuasion of the first defender. So if we have passed the point player, the second defender will help and then creates a 2-against-1 situation. And the first defender will have to decide something to do, or make interceptation, or in a dissuasion situation, create a technical mistake from the back who have the ball. Then come some winger pressure situations. We could see on this clip how much pressure the first defender are doing, create a lot of problems in the back passing points here. Another video here. If we look at one more time this video, we're gonna realize that she don't have this pass, she don't have this pass here, the pass from the playmaker, the pass back to back, and then the first defender steal the ball.
Danilo, we've got a question on the first scenario. Can you take the video back, the first one?
This one?
The one before, I think.
Yeah, okay. The Brazilian one, it is one.
Yeah. So there's a question around this scenario, how they're controlling the space in front of the 6 meters. Question from João Arujo says there's a big space. There's a lot of space for them to exploit. So
question, Bob, one more time. I couldn't hear properly.
The question is around the space in front of the 6 meters. So the question from the João is asking how are Brazil controlling the space in front of 6 meters here? Like, I guess you're going to come into that because you're going to talk about transition from wings into second line and stuff like that. So
maybe you can wait to see when the winger comes the second line player. Okay, super. So I will. Then we go to the second defender, and we're gonna do in the same way. But one thing will be important that I will divide in second defender without pivot, and when we have the cooperation between second and third defender, and they are dividing the pivot. So second defender attributes. It's really important to be a tall person, especially because we're gonna believe that he have to make a really good control of the pivot, to be in front of the pivot. So be a tall person is important. Of course, play really well 1-against-1 and 2-against-2. Have interceptation and anticipation skills. And needs a good communication and partnership with the third defender. Now we talk about the second defender without pivot. And the first thing, he needs to play forward. So at least 9 meters line. So when he's gonna face the 1-against-1 from this back, he have to stop the game or carry this back to the point player zone, because this point player will go down like an arrow. So he needs to carry this guy to the point player zone. And another really crucial thing on the system, and there's a really common mistake, that when the opposite back attacks behind the point player in that zone, and the behind zone that I said before, he's not gonna go down. He's gonna stay on the same position. He will stay in his initial position forward. Why? Because we need him there to intercept the back-to-back passing. So this is really, really important. So if you don't have it, you're gonna have a 2-against-1 situation. Of course that you can work with the first defender coming to make interceptation or a dissuasion, for example, but this is not the idea of this defense. We want that the second defender intercept this back-to-back passes to turn inaccessible the points of the pass. So that's really, really important. Of course, control back action without the ball. If he runs without the ball, we need to control him. And avoid losing the opponent in the outside line. So we see here the second defender without pivot that he's carrying, one more time, carrying to the point player. Really, really important, this cooperation between the point player, the second defender. And then I have a slide video to you guys. Hope you can watch it properly. Us against Senegal too. That we could defend. Here, this video is us playing Holland, and our second defender pressing is Stevana Pullman and trying to defend her in the outside line. Then she could defend, and we almost recovered the ball in the situation. Second defender without pivot. So we have the back going inside, and then this guy here, the second defender, he don't go down. The help from the third defender comes from the point player. So he's ready to try to intercept the ball here on this position. So he keeps his initial position. And if this pass comes, he has to intercept his back-to-back pass. Then I have some examples on video to show you to you guys too. I will come back to this video because I like this situation a lot.
Danilo, there's a question concerning this specific movement. So when the point defender drops down and the second defender follows the back that's attacking in the middle, what happens if the playmaker crosses and goes and attacks the space that was left open by the defender number 2, who slided into the middle, if that makes sense?
So if the point player comes on the back of behind of the back to make a cross, they will just change the opponent. They will change opponent, just like that. They will create immediately change opponent. There's a lot of teams who likes to put the playmaker going in the back, in the behind zone of the back to make the cross. But the ones who are dividing the pivot, they will change the opponent. And then you can adjust with the point player coming directly to the zone of this back who became a playmaker. So is create change of the opponent, immediately change opponent, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
So when you talk about this situation here, oops, sorry. Okay. I don't know what's happened this. I will try it one more time. I'm trying to make a pause here. It doesn't matter. The situation is that you could see on that video that the Spanish defender, he's in a really proper position. So if you look at and you have the videos and then you can pause easily, the back of Sweden, he came inside, and when he was in a jump situation, he's not looking to the goal. His arm is down. He's not looking to the goal. He's looking to the crowd. So this lead is really important to the second defender, and he was in the right position. And I don't know why he couldn't get the ball. Was really lucky from the Swedish guy. But this is the proper example that if you are in the right position and you can figure out these leads and you don't go down to help, because this help comes from the point player, you can steal this back-to-back pass.
Danilo.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. So when you have a 2v2 situation on the place where the left back is attacking, what happens if the line player slides?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Perfect. Okay.
But
so
for example, if they, what happens a lot, and there's one of the vulnerabilities is that, for example, when we have the ball in the zone of the second defender who is high, and then when he starts to attack, the pivot runs in the same time, runs to this back zone of this defender who is right. Then we cannot change. It's impossible to change in this situation. So we need to follow, and then we want the second defender who defends, and with the help of the point player. So in this situation, it's impossible to change. We're not gonna happen. But it's a specific situation that can create problems, of course. When we go to the third defender, this is the most important defender on the team. And he needs to be a leader. He needs to have this leader status on the team. And of course, he needs to be really in 1-against-1, in 2-against-2. But the leader status is really important. They have to believe a lot on this guy. And his communication is crucial too. He needs to talk about what's happening in the entire field on the defense. So you need to choose a guy like this. So like I said, a great 1-against-1 and 2-against-2 defender. And he's going to be responsible for his directly opponent. And every time he goes up to try to tackle the third defender, for the back, for example, he needs to be ready to defend the passing lines. So he's going to be responsible to go out, tackle, interrupt the game. But if the ball passes close to him, he needs to try to steal this ball. This is really important to stimulate on the third defender. In the beginning of talking a bit about, we are discussing about the question. It's really important that he stay normally close his feet to the 6-meter line, because if the pivot decide to slide to change position, he'll be aware of that and will try to promote the change. But if it's possible, if it's not in the same time of someone is attacking. So this is really important to be clear. I hope with my English, they can understand that.
Perfect.
And a huge thing, tactical intelligence. Why he needs to be tactical intelligent? Because he needs to, it's not a rule for him when he's gonna go out. So he needs to understand and maybe see these leads that this back we're gonna show to him, like analyze the player that he's playing against, the time of the match, the moment of the match, the arm, the feet, the eyes. So there's a lot of things that they have to analyze these leads to see how much he's gonna go deep, how much is gonna stay. So this is a tactical, individual tactical things that is really important for this third defender. So you need to find a player who have this ability for sure. Then we go to, I think, the most controversial thing about this defense, the cooperation between second and third defender, mainly because they will divide the pivot. So the pivot is between second and third defender. So we're going to talk about pivot control. And then the first thing, they need to wait the trajectory of the back. If he goes outside, the second defender will defend him, and the third defender will be in front of the line player controlling him. If we go inside, the third defender will come, and the second defender will pass in front of the line player to defend him. And then comes the, like I learned with you, Ricardo, the V position. So what's the idea of the second defender? This second defender, he will change the normal body orientation that we normally teach. So he's gonna open the middle of the court to the back and offer that space. And why we do that? Mainly because of three things. And that's important to us to say it, because that's gonna be a framework that you have to do it a lot. First, because we believe we're gonna offer the space, and we believe that the back will make a bad decision if he faces our third defender and our point player coming backwards. Second, because it's easily, if you have this V base, the body orientation offer in the middle of the court, to be in front of the line player, to control this line player. And the third really important thing is that you are avoiding with this base, this body orientation, that this player go in an outside line position. So that's three things that are really important and connected to this V base. The third defender will defend normally in his normal body guidance, protecting the middle of the court, protecting the inside line zone. And then another thing crucial here. First, this second defender, he don't defend close to 6 meters. He defend a little bit forward. And if the back decide to go in the outside line position, he will defend and control him not up, but in the 6 meters line. And why? Because he will try to provoke an attack fall. So this is crucial for the system. So if the attacker decides to go outside line, the second defender will defend him in 6 meters and will try to provoke attack fall. If the attacker go inside line, the third defender will interrupt his trajectory and defend him. And there's another thing another dilemma here. How I can be in front of the line player? And this is pure technique, and we have to work a lot on this, because like this defense, it's a Switzerland cheese. So many holes, so many openings, and this is true. So there's a lot of space to the pivot run. So if you don't work really, really well, this control of the line player and how to be in front of him, that will be really difficult to play. And then I separate to you guys a video from the Brazilian national team training this technique, that you have to use your arm, your closest arm, like a spoon on the rib of the player. And then you're gonna pull him and pass your feet and try to, with the other hand, to touch the ball, always look into the ball. And you're gonna see that on the video. This video is really important, Bob. So please tell me how it's working. We're gonna see here the control of the line player, the exercise of the technique, and the 2 against 2 situation a little bit. So this is the fight. You can see the base open to the middle of the court and offering the space to the back go directly to the third defender, and the control that you're here trying to do.
Danilo, whilst you're showing the video, there's another question about how do the defenders react when the pivot comes out and creates a Russian block on the defenders that are out, whether it's the point defender or the number 2 that's out on the opposite side.
Yeah, if they decided to make some connection with the point player, like passing the ball to create, or even trying to make a Russian block,
yeah,
they will wait first for the trajectory. So the back, who is far away from the goal, will go inside, and then you promote immediately this type of work to be in front of the line player. If you have the second defender really forward, for example, and sometimes will happen, it's not usual, you can pass this point player behind. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Instead of going inside with this technique, you go behind of this defender, and then you can be in front of him too. But I think in the majority of the situation that comes from the pivot comes from a block, if the communication is good, this defender will go a little bit high and then interrupts immediately the block. Yeah. So I think it's basically on that. You can go outside, do the technique, and if you hear that he's coming, you go a little bit up, and there's no block anymore. So that's it's really important, this communication.
Similar to 3-2-1 reaction there.
Yes.
Obrigado, Danilo.
I hope it's clear.
Yep.
So yeah. So like we are saying, the second defender don't defend really close to the 6 meters, a little bit forward. So he's gonna avoid the outside line and offer the space of inside line. And here we're talking about, so if this guy decided to go outside, the second defender will defend him close to 6 meters and try to provoke attack foul. And when he tries to provoke attack foul and defend this back on 6 meter line, he has to keep his arms up because he needs to defend the passing lines to the line player. And of course, the third defender will do the technique and pass in front of the third defender. So passing lines, huge, important. So here we playing against Slovenia. And one of the mainly tasks that we used against to win Slovenia in the World Championship was the 5-1. And this is the situation that Ana Gross go outside and we create an attack foul like we're discussing. I can't believe that the referee didn't choose the attack foul, but it was clear. We have the situation of the Brazilian junior national team too, with the same idea. So it's really important to know that if the guy decided to go to outside line, he have to make a little curve and normally put the shoulder in front. So it's a perfect time when we are dividing the pivot to go down, open your chest, and create an attack foul situation.
Danilo, we just had a question which you might be able to help us with. Questions from a young goalkeeper, and they're asking about the role of the goalkeeper in this type of defence. What kind of situations are they going to be exposed to the most, and how can they best help the team, I guess?
Yeah, important situation. We're going to talk a bit about goalkeeping, but as we play with the concepts of avoiding this help and pressure the winger when the back have the ball, the goalkeeper will suffer a lot of shots in this outside line zones from this part of area. So there comes a lot of 6 meter in outside line zones from the backs. And there's a lot of type of shots really far away from the backs coming inside. So sometimes you need to be really with a lot of attention because it comes from so distance and so many shots, because we induce all the time them to shoot, that you need to have a really attention all the time on the match. There will come a lot of different shots, but basically shots from outside line zone, and shots from a long distance. And of course that it's open. So if you lose 1 against 1, we will come 6 meter lines shots. But this idea of help or not of the point player, you can adjust. For example, if you have a goalkeeper who don't like this kind of shots and prefer the winger shots, you can make adjustments so the winger will help, the first defender will help, and then you come the winger shots. Yeah. So I think it's connected to these situations. Okay. And you can make these adjustments. So inside line defense, the third defender will go up, the second defender will pass in front of the second defender. And then we have the control of the situation. Two examples here, and this example is really nice because we're gonna see the third defender go up and then the second defender creating an attack fall. Could you see, Bob?
Yeah, it's fine.
Then another situation that the back will go inside line and the third defender, we are playing Holland here, the third defender will interrupt the trajectory and defend the goal. Another important situation to mention is that sometimes in an attack creation, when we play against our system, they like to put the player in a weed zone, really outside. And then the second defender, the closest second defender, will go back, control him in 6 meters line, and the third defender will go forward to defend with the help of the point player. The other situation, when Ricardo told a bit about it, maybe there was a question. So if the pivot runs and the system cannot allow these runs on the back, you're gonna promote immediately a change of opponent when you have time enough to do it. So this is really, really important. So we could see now the pivot in a outside weed zone. He goes, defender will go backwards with the help of the point player. And then we have the control of the outside line pivot. A clip to show to you that Slovenia were trying to do a lot against us, this situation. Sweden tried to do it, Spain too. When pivot running, then when we have time, we're gonna produce and promote immediately change opponent. So the pivot run behind the third defender and the second defender. The second defender needs to go down. The other and promote a change of opponent. So immediately the other go up. The third defender go to the side to create 2 against 2, sorry. And then we defend. There's a few situations connected to this to show you guys. There's so important the communication of the third defender. Then we could recover the ball. Now we come to the special situation, the 4 special situations to finish. We're gonna talk about playmaker and back transition. We're gonna talk about winger transition. We're gonna talk about foul or free throw. And we're gonna talk about 7 against 6 and goalkeeping action. So we start with the playmaker transition to become a second line to become two pivots. So when he goes as a second line player, the first thing is that the point player needs to touch him to slow him down to achieve the 6-meter line. And why I will do that? Mainly because I need to promote adaptation of the defense. So the second defender, he needs to have enough time to go down, and the third defender will need to realize the side that he has to create 2 against 2. Which side of the backs or what action the point player will produce after slow the playmaker down to go as a second line pivot? He will choose the back on the side that the playmaker entry. So if he goes to the right side, I will choose the right back, or if he goes to the left side, I will go in the left back. And why are we gonna do that? Because as we are trying to reduce the speed to the defense adaptation, you stay close to the back on the side, and then we're gonna choose this side. And of course, we're gonna offer to the back to receive the ball, the middle of the court, so he can decide. So here we have the control of the line player between the second defenders, the third defenders going up to defend the back with the ball, and we have the control in the circle area of the point player on the other back. So here's some examples to you guys about the situation when the playmaker comes in a transition like a second line player. So the point player will choose the side that he entry. And then the third defender will be responsible to the inside line. The second defenders will control the 2 pivots. Sorry. Then Brazil are playing against Spain. And the situation is interesting because what happens? After the entrance of the playmaker, the back, he don't goes in directly to the third defender. He go a little bit forward in a trajectory, in a curved trajectory, attacking the space of the second defender. So they need to change, and you're gonna see that. And then control the line player. Then we go to the back transition. When the back goes as a second line, the point player will choose the playmaker to defend. The second defenders will go down, obviously, and then we're gonna have the control of the second defenders with the line players, and the third defender going up and defend if he attacks the inside line zone. Of course, that this point player situations, you can adjust or change if you believe that, for example, they're trying to do putting the opposite back because they have a back on the game who are scoring all the goals. You can change and make adjustments. It does depend on the game, but the basic concept is this. We have a video here explaining we're playing against Holland and Eindhoven with the situation of the back entry. So they could defend. One more time, situation from Brazil. Stay with the playmaker. And it's really nice because when Thiago goes up, he could defend, he could anticipate and defend the passing line like we were talking about. Now the winger, comes the winger as a second line player. Of course that the third defender had to go with him and the second defender had to go down immediately. But when this winger comes, the first touch comes from the first defender that he needs to reduce his speed to this defense adaptation as the point player do. And then we have a situation here. So if this back attack immediately, the first defender will not go up because they need to defend this 2 against 2 situation first. So they will wait to see. Then, if the ball goes to the playmaker or starts to go to the other zone, he will go up and pressure the back. And then we have the 2 against 2 here situation again. Inside line, third defender. Pivot control for the second defender. If we go outside line, the second defender will defend close to 6 meters, try to provoke attack foul, and the third defender will go in front. This is a really good example of this what I'm talking is Brazil against Egypt on the Junior World Championship. That the first defender, he needs to wait a bit, and then because he was trying to play on the first ball, and then when the ball changed the area, he will go up and pressure, and we could recover the ball. He goes, stay. Then he goes up because he has time. Force a mistake and recover the ball. Brazil recover the ball. Always connected to the fast break situation. Serve against Angola. The World Championship now in December. Then we could manage to defend. I hope the winger transition is clear. Now we come to the center fault or the free throw in the middle. The idea of this defense, how we do it. We choose one of the backs and we put the point player in this back zone. And then the second defender became third defender to create numerical equality. So I'll show you guys. So we can see the back in the point player in the right back zone now, because it's foul, it's free throw on the middle. Then we could see a connection with the first defender to the defensive block, really important. Another example. Side fault, we keep it basically the same diagram of the system. We can manage to put a little bit higher the second defender or no, depends on what you want it. But we keep the same structure. Then I'm gonna show you one example. And to finish, the 7 against 6 situation, okay? So the idea to play this 5-1 on 7 against 6, we're gonna play with the point player, working a lot of this situation, going a little bit up, going a little bit down to try to provoke some technical mistake. But especially the first defender, when the ball is in the opposite back, is really, really important to create this doubt. So we could see it here that is gonna make an interceptation or a dissuasion situation. In the other hand, when you have the pivot between first and second and the ball is in the playmaker, you can swap the one who is making the dissuasion. And maybe you can do it with the second defender, like you're going to see here. Because you're going to promote this back going really forward, really far away from the goal, sorry. And then when he get the ball, he will try to shoot. And when we look at the situation, then comes what I think Bob made the question about the goalkeeping. When we play 7 against 6, 5-1, first the third defender have to move really fast one side to the other. And the goalkeeping, the cooperation between third defender and goalkeeper will be crucial. So you need to train a lot of this so you can stop it, this shooting from distance. Cooperation, goalie, and third defender. To finish, some situations of the 7 against 6. The first defender go up and create doubt on the back. He make a back passing points. Yeah. Now, because of the point player, they make a mistake. And then we could score. And the last one, promise. This is, you can realize the second defender going up when the pivot is between 1 and 2 in the 7 against 6. And the cooperation between the third defender and the goalkeeper. Really interesting when Brazil playing against Germany and the Olympic Games. And this is the end.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danilo. Absolutely brilliant stuff, mate. The feedback's been really good so far. We've got a couple of questions. Ricardo, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, Danilo, just a couple at the moment. One of the questions is very specific. So what happens, what's the behavior of the defense when there's a back transition from the back of the opposite side of the ball? So when the back goes to second line without having the ball, when the ball is on the opposite side. That's making sense.
Don't change. If the back goes as a second line, the point player, he will go with the playmaker.
Yeah.
And then we create the same situation. The second defender will go down. The third defender need to notice to create 2 against 2. And a good feedback for the third defender that he needs to where the side, if he has some doubts of the point player, to go to the opposite side. And then he's going to realize the 2 against 2 side.
Okay. Thank you for that, Danilo. Very clear. Second question, a bit more complex contextually.
Okay.
So,
hope I can.
Yes, Scott did say he was going to ask you a lot of questions. So here's one of them.
Okay.
Have you ever implemented this defense with a team who have grown up with a traditional 5-1, 6-0, or 3-2-1? And if so, did you ever experience problems getting your players to adapt to these new conflicting principles?
Ricardo, I couldn't hear properly. Can you say it one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So have you ever tried this defense against a team or with a team that was using the normal classic 5-1, 6-0, or 3-1? Have you ever tried to implement this defense there? And did you experience, if so, did you experience any problems with the conflict of rules that this proposition from Jordi may raise when compared to the classic styles?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Scott, for the question. I was waiting for the ugly ones. I have a theory that when we want to implement a system so deep and with so much vulnerability like this, if the players don't buy, it's really hard to say it. And even when I'm talking to Jordi about it, he always say to me that he needs to make some adaptations sometimes because the players don't want to do properly all the concepts. And I believe when you're talking about the high level, if you could achieve 70% of these concepts, you can create lots of problems. And talking about, I have two experience outside the Brazil to play in the system. In Brazil, everybody love it and likes a lot. Actually, they trust a lot on these concepts of Jordi Ribeiro. I have difficult. The players didn't like it so much, so that wasn't so easy. But I was trying to change the idea of the team who didn't have the best players. So we are trying to create idea to recover the ball and doing fast breaks. And here in Angola, for example, the players are really open. So what I love it to work here is that they are always open to listen and try to improve. So I think sometimes we need to try to put it, to discuss this with the player and try to create the best scenario you can. I'm pretty sure that if they believe it, that's gonna work pretty well. And doesn't matter the level. And when you talk about formation, ages, bases, I think the system can be fantastic in terms of individual tactics and collective tactics too.
Thanks, Danilo. I think that's all the questions. So we'll take this opportunity just to say a really, really big thank you, Danilo. It's been a great presentation, and the engagement from the attendees has been great with the questions. So I'm just going to say a big thank you from England Handball for you giving your time. Danilo, is there anything you want to say before you wrap up? Any key points?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for you and Bob, for you and Ricardo again. That was a pleasure to talk about this 5-1. Thanks for everybody who are listened to me for 1 hour. It's a lot. In the end, I put it here, my Facebook page and my email. If you want to try to experience, to discuss handball or try to ask a few things about this 5-1, it will be a pleasure to talk about it. And once more say that this kind of project is fantastic. I think the handball community is really glad for what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danilo. All the best, my friend, and we'll speak soon. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Danilo,
next week, we've got 2 more webinars for you to join. Check out our website for the details and our social media. And have a great, safe weekend. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.